Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel. I am Ken, and today, guys, we are going to talk about the Taxi Driver 4K Steelbook that Sony just announced. And look, I'm glad that Taxi Driver is getting a standalone 4K, but there are some problems here that I want to dig into, specifically amongst the collecting and collector community, the physical media fans out there, and the normal people as well that just buy, a couple releases a year. I'm sure this could affect you as well. So yeah, I want to really dig into this release and give you the details, and then talk about some of my issues that I have with Sony and just Steelbooks in general, and the rollout of Steelbooks and how some of these studios are handling that. I went all in on Lionsgate and their Steelbooks last week, and some people did not like that. So I'm not going to get into Lionsgate as much in this video. This is going to be specifically about Sony and their particular Steelbook rollout. But look, before we get into it, hit the subscribe button. If you're new here, we talk about physical media like a lot. Blu-rays, 4Ks, owning the movies that you love, all that stuff there behind me every single day. So if you like that kind of stuff, that kind of content, hit the subscribe button. Also like this video and let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. That is the only reason I make these kind of videos. Well, one, so you'll watch them, but also because I want that engagement. I want that feedback down below in the comment section. So definitely comment. So let's get into it, guys. Taxi Driver is coming to 4K, not for the first time because it was released in this Sony Columbia Classics Edition Volume 2 back in 2021 with 5 other movies in the set. This was a 6-film set, but not everybody wanted to get all of these movies to get Taxi Driver on 4K, even though I do highly recommend Stripes on 4K. That was such a great release and such a fun movie. Ivan Reitman, Bill Murray, John Candy, great movie, but a lot of people didn't want to get 5 movies that they didn't necessarily care about or were maybe just fine with them on Blu-ray, just to get Taxi Driver on 4K. So we have waited, some people have waited 3 years to get Taxi Driver on 4K. Now they're going to finally get that opportunity. 3 years, guys, we have been waiting for this. They didn't make us wait that long for Lawrence of Arabia and Dr. Strangelove. And I definitely want to get into that as well, because Sony, just the rollouts and how they're putting some of these movies out and how they're choosing which ones get standalones later on and which ones don't, is very odd to me. And I love Sony. I think they do great work. Like, their transfers are second to none. Like, honestly, they're the best studio when it comes to the actual quality of the transfer. So I can't say much negative about Sony, to be honest. Like, I've honestly praised them a lot on this channel, but this video I am going to get a little negative. But yes, Taxi Driver coming to 4K on June the 25th, 4K Steelbook only. You're not getting a standard version, which right here I do have in this Columbia Classic set. So that is just showing you that it does exist. It does exist, and they could easily put it out, but they are not with this particular rollout. It's just going to be the Steelbook on January the 25th. It's going to have all the same special features. I was looking at this website right here, trying to get some of the details, and it looks like it's going to have all the same special features that is present on this release as well. And I'm pretty sure, I don't think that there were any new special features that were added to this. I could be wrong. I didn't dig into it that much, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be all the same features that were on the Blu-ray edition when they released that. So no new special features with this release, which is kind of a bummer. Like, they could at least throw an audio commentary on there, maybe like an introduction with Scorsese. Like, he's come back for Criterion to do some stuff on After Hours and some of his other films in the Criterion collection. So I don't see why he wouldn't want to do like a 5-minute intro for Taxi Driver for what I believe to be, no, it's not. It's actually not celebrated an anniversary. It's 48th anniversary this year, so it's not a significant anniversary, but I just think that maybe that's what they'll do in 2 years. They'll do another edition of Taxi Driver and have Scorsese do an intro, but they should have added at least something new to this release. As far as the picture quality, this release right here, this 4K in the Columbia Classic set, already had Dolby Vision. So usually with the Sony Steelbooks, they'll re-release them, some of their movies that already have 4Ks, and they'll add Dolby Vision to it. That's not going to be the case here because this already had Dolby Vision, so the Steelbook's going to have Dolby Vision and HDR as well. And as far as the sound, I'm pretty sure it's a 5.1. It wasn't Dolby Atmos or anything like that. So yeah, that's all out of the way, guys. That's the announcement. Taxi Driver 4K Steelbook coming. I know a lot of people were very excited about this, and they're going to be very happy about it. But I want to get into some of the issues here. And my main issue is that the Steelbook is the only option. And I'm just kind of getting tired of this behavior from some of the studios. And it's not every studio, but every so often you will get a release. Like Paramount is starting to do it a little bit more as well. They just did it with, or no, not Major League, but they just did it with Naked Gun. Last year, Naked Gun just got a 4K Steelbook, and it did not get a 4K slipcover edition. Now, Major League, which I was getting ready to talk about, Major League did get a Steelbook, but it also got a slipcover edition. So it feels like they just pick and choose at random, like what gets a Steelbook only and what gets a slipcover. And it's just very weird to me. And it's almost like they just assume, like all the studios, everybody knows it's kind of transitioned into a collector's market. That's what everybody is talking about. It's not the average Joe Schmoes that's going to Walmart to pick up these new titles or whatever new title anymore. It's more collector-centric focused. The boutique market is in full swing, and that's what the collectors gravitate towards. Those boutique releases, those premiere package releases, those Steelbook releases. But there are still people out there that just like collecting regular slipcover releases, especially when it's going to be cheaper. And the Steelbook of Taxi Driver, I can say one good thing about Sony. They don't price gouge on their Steelbooks, really. Like, I feel like they're pretty fairly priced. Like, I think that Taxi Driver will come out and it'll probably be $30, maybe $31. I could be wrong. Maybe it'll be $40. Who knows? But I feel like it'll be $29.99 or maybe $30.99 or something like that. So the price isn't out of control. But I feel like if they did a slipcover version and charged like, $24 or $25 for that, they would drive up the sales. Because I think that there's going to be people that are turned off by the Steelbook, because there are collectors, believe it or not, and this is what I was talking about with the studios, they think that all collectors just like Steelbooks. Some collectors don't like Steelbooks. They don't care to get Steelbooks, and they don't want to get them. They just feel like they have to if that's the only option. So I don't love this trend of let's just release the Steelbook only, and then maybe it'll get a standard edition later on, and then some people will wait, and then that never comes. I'll show some examples and share some examples of that here in a second. I just want options. People want options. Whether they're a collector that buys multiple releases a week or just your average Joe Schmo that buys maybe one Blu-ray every 2 months, like people want options. And I think when it comes to physical media right now, guys, and I can see the argument that everybody's going to make to me, and I can already hear the backlash in the comment section. Ken, shut up. You complain too much. Just be happy we're getting it on 4K to begin with, standalone, and just be happy that physical media is still alive and well and these studios are still supporting it. I can see those comments and I understand those comments. I do. I really do. And I am so thankful that there are still studios and boutique labels that are releasing stuff on physical media. I am very thankful for that. But that doesn't mean that I can't call out stuff when I see it. And I have my opinion. Other people have their opinions. This is my channel. I talk about what I want to talk about. If I think something is a little shady, if it's a little off and I want to call it out, I'm going to call it out, guys. That's the direction that I am going in this channel. Some stuff is just frustrating me. And I'll be completely honest. I am falling out of love with Steelbooks. I'm just so done with Steelbooks at this point because they are more expensive and they just keep going up and up. I said I wasn't going to mention Lionsgate, but I used to love collecting the Lionsgate Steelbooks. And right before those became super popular back in like 2021, I was done with Steelbooks. I didn't want to collect them anymore because I went through the Marvel phase of collecting all those. I was like, these are too expensive. And there's just no reason for it. And I just don't like picking them up. I just don't think it's cool to pick up a Steelbook and hold it. I don't know. It doesn't appeal to me. I'd rather grab a slipcover off the shelf. I'd rather have a premium packaged edition like from Arrow Video or Second Sight. Steelbooks, they just really aren't my thing anymore. But Lionsgate drew me back in because it was cool packaging with slipcovers and all that stuff, and they were cheap and affordable, so I didn't have to worry about that. Now those prices are being jacked up. You're seeing Steelbooks for $40, $45 in some cases. And I don't, it's not worth it to me. You know, you do a Steelbook like this, like Major League, where I really like the artwork and I think it's super creative, and you got magnets and cool stuff and gimmicks to go along with it, then sure, I'll pick it up. And Paramount, they affordably price their Steelbooks as well, $25 for the Steelbook versus like $23 for the slipcover. But at the end of the day, guys, we want our options, and not everybody is a Steelbook collector. And what I worry about, yes, it's good that we're still getting physical media at all. That's good we're getting physical media at all. But what I worry about is if this is the only option, I worry about people getting frustrated like me and just quitting collecting altogether, because that's the danger of going down this path where you don't offer people options. You make people feel excluded from the release because they're like, well, I want to get the Taxi Driver 4K, but it's a Steelbook. I don't really collect Steelbooks. I got a Blu-ray. It looks fine. Maybe they'll do a 4K at some point. Maybe they won't. I'm just not going to pick this up. I'm not going to support it. If you would do a regular version, then people would probably shell out that money and pick it up and upgrade it on the first day. Do you not think that Taxi Driver deserves 2 editions? This is an all-time great classic American film directed by Martin Scorsese. Everybody loves Taxi Driver, at least all the film fans and probably the majority of physical media collectors will want to pick this up on day one. I don't understand why you wouldn't do 2 editions. 4K Steelbook, 4K slipcover. It's simple. It just seems so simple, but they're so stuck to that 4K Steelbook. So that's my worry. That's my frustration, that you're just going to turn people off at the end of the day, and you're going to lead to more people not collecting anymore, giving up on collecting. And that's what we don't want. That's going in the complete opposite direction of the goal of what we're going for as a collector community. And I love Sony. I said that, guys. I love Sony. I think they do great work. I really do. I don't want to crap on them, but they have got to start offering people more options with these 4K releases, because this is nothing new. Sony does this all the time, and they've been doing this probably since about 2021, I feel like. And I can show you the first example that I can think of off the top of my head. Maybe they did this before, but they did Last Action Hero back in 2021, and I think in March of 2021, they released this, a 4K Steelbook only. And, you know, it's a nice Steelbook. I like the original poster art on the Steelbook. I do think that looks really nice. But this was our only option. I think this was over $30 when it came out. You know, some people might not have wanted this Steelbook, so maybe they didn't pick it up. And that's the other thing, guys. Sometimes these Steelbooks become very limited, and you either pick them up on day one or you don't have the option to get them anymore. It's not like they go on sale in a couple months like a regular standard edition would. They just sell out completely, and then it's up to the studios whether or not they want to bring it back. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Thankfully, Sony is pretty good about bringing stuff back, the Steelbooks back, and putting it back in stock. So you don't have to worry about that too much with Sony, with Paramount, but Warner Brothers, Disney, some of the other studios, like, you do have to worry about picking those up day one, or they're never going to come back. But the thing that irritated me about this one with Last Action Hero, and just Sony in general with their inconsistency on the 4K Steelbook releases, is that 3 months later, they did a standalone version of Last Action Hero, a 4K version with no slipcover. It was just the case. And I think Gattaca as well. I think Gattaca came out on 4K Steelbook the same day or maybe the same month that Last Action Hero did. And then in June, that also got a standard 4K release with no slipcover. So we got standard 4Ks of these 3 months down the line. But the thing that irritates me about that is it kind of set this precedent that Sony didn't follow through on. So we flash forward to October of 2022, and we have the Fright Nights 4K Steelbook that came out. So this is a really awesome Steelbook. Like I said, I probably would have got this. If this was the option, if I could get the Steelbook or the regular slipcover, I probably would have got this edition. I'm going to be honest, because this poster just looks great on a Steelbook. But I think that there were some people that didn't pick this up because they assumed at some point Fright Night would get a standalone slipcover and they would go the cheaper route and pick that up. But it never did. There was no standard edition for Fright Night. And Fright Night, like one of the most iconic horror films from the 80s ever made, didn't get a standard slipcover edition for Sony. But the precedent that Last Action Hero set was that we're going to do standalone 4K versions. Then this came out and said we're not going to do standalone 4K versions. And then on top of that, you have from the Columbia Classics Volume 1 set, you have Lawrence of Arabia that they did a 4K Steelbook for. And then they did a Doctor Strangelove Standard Edition 4K with no Steelbook for that one, but they never did a standard 4K edition of Lawrence of Arabia, even though they had one in the Columbia Classics Volume 1 set. So everything is just very inconsistent, and it just doesn't make sense the way that they roll out Steelbooks. And like I said, at the end of the day, even though these Steelbooks are gorgeous, they really are. And this is not the original poster art, by the way, but it's great artwork on this. Some people just don't want the Steelbooks. They just don't want the Steelbooks. So I know a lot of people are probably thinking, all right, maybe they'll do a standalone version at some point. They never did. And if you want to get Lawrence of Arabia, the 4K Steelbook, I think it's available. I think they actually brought it back into stock, but it went out of stock very quickly, and it was out of stock for quite some time. And that Columbia Classics Volume 1, you cannot get that thing for like under, I think people are charging like $1,500 for that on eBay right now. It's ridiculous. That thing went out of stock very quickly. And that's another issue that I have and a lot of people have with Sony is these Columbia Classics, 4K box set editions. They're nice and I love them. But Sony, you have got to start releasing these movies standalone, whether it's a year after you release it or 2 years after you release it, that's fine. But eventually these movies need to become not exclusive. We need our options. Some people want maybe just stripes on 4K. Maybe some people want that. Some people want these movies standalone that you're putting in these box sets. A lot of people would have killed to get Starman on 4K. And they didn't want all the other movies that were in that set. They weren't interested. That's a John Carpenter movie on 4K stuck inside of that box set. And I feel like they'll do a Steelbook of that one. At some point, I do feel like they'll do a Steelbook of Starman, but it could be a year, could be 2 years, it could be 3 years down the line before we see that. So I understand making it exclusive to the box set. I really do. I understand that. It makes it more premium and more valuable. I get that. But at a certain point, you need to make that standalone for your consumers because maybe some people want Kramer versus Kramer on 4K, just that one. Who knows? I am for options. I am for options for the consumer. That is what I'm all about. We need our options. That's what keeps this whole thing moving. That's what keeps physical media alive and people engaged in it. We want our options when it comes to all this stuff. And I just don't think it's going to cost that much money the 4K scan's already done. It's already done. That's just the packaging. If anything, it's going to be cheaper because you're producing it in cheaper packaging, just standard 4K, slipcover editions. And also, guys, another thing I want to talk about is Amelie. I just bought this 4K Steelbook. This is not a movie that I needed a Steelbook for. Fright Night is a great horror movie from the 80s, and that poster looks incredible. I'm not saying this poster doesn't look great. It does, but Amelie is a movie that I don't need a Steelbook for. I could have just had a standard Blu-ray edition because this is a Blu-ray Steelbook, and we got this, nice Steelbook, but I didn't need to have to pay $32 to get the Amelie Steelbook. I could have done with the standard Blu-ray edition for $22. But there you have it, guys. That's my rant on Sony today. I want to know your thoughts in the comment section below. And I know I was all over the place, as I tend to be, but hopefully some of my thoughts and what I had to say resonated with some of you all. I'm pretty sure it will. And like I said, I totally get the argument, guys. Physical media is alive and we should be happy that studios are even doing these releases. I get that. I understand that. I really do. And I am so thankful. But I just think that if you're going to do it, give people options. And I think you'll sell more. I just think it's dumb to not do it that way. But what do you guys think? Let me know in that comment section below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Would definitely appreciate that. Like this video, comment down below like I said so many times in this video. Turn on those bell notifications for all future videos and follow me on all my social media accounts, guys. I'm over on Instagram, I'm over on X, Letterboxd, TikTok, all the places. All those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.